Welcome, everyone. It's so good to have you all with me for this webinar on helping others. This is the season, the winter season, the holiday season, when we think a lot about giving something to others. And what greater gift can we give than something that promotes someone's well-being? It's not a thing you can wrap up in a package. I was trying to think of how to describe this. You can't wrap it up in a package. It's something that we give through an act of intention with intention. And when we put our attention on someone or some situation with an intention that become more holistic, more peaceful, more healthy, when we do that, it produces a response that's on the very subtle level of existence that results in changes that a person can experience. Sometimes they're very dramatic, sometimes they're very subtle, but things change for a person. Some participants said, well, I really don't have anybody specifically that I would have in mind. And so, where should my attention be? What should we focus on tonight while we're doing our work together? And I suggested that either we work on everyone all together, not just the people on the call, but indeed everybody on Earth, if we like, or that we put our attention on world consciousness and whatever it might be that is disturbing or holding back the expression of creative intelligence throughout the world. I kind of like to work on the latter one, and I think I'm going to start there, and then we'll go to the individual things, because it's something I'd never done with a precise intention. I do meditate, of course, every day, and when I meditate, that process is enhancing collective consciousness in the world, but it's not through a conscious act. It's just through transcending itself. But this process that we engage in here for healing is actually one where we have an intention and we put our attention on some particular thing. And so if there is some sense of a disturbance in the world's collective consciousness, then we can take that intention and be with it, and then see what it is that is producing that disturbance. Where is that turbulence coming from? There's one other point I want to make in introduction today, and that is about consent. I've talked about this in the past, but I wanted to bring it up again because the issue of consent is, I believe, an important one. When we have a positive feeling for someone, some love for someone, a family member or somebody, maybe a work colleague, or just a friend. I shouldn't say just a friend. They're significant too. A friend or even a neighbor, maybe somebody who's not so significant or important to you, but someone that you would like to, in the old days we'd say, send good vibes to. And the process that we use here is not really sending vibes. We don't put energy out. It's just that we put our attention on someone. And so what I thought we would do is to put our attention on collective consciousness. And then I'm going to, and you can all do this too, look into what is holding back collective consciousness, coherence, what is blocking coherence in collective consciousness and the flow of creative intelligence in the universe. We don't need consent to do that. But when we work on others, it is possible that if they have a particularly negative attitude towards any kind of subtle energy work, spiritual healing and the like, that we not impose our desire upon them. We can, from our side, just hold the desire that, that they should be healthy and happy, But it's not appropriate to do this kind of work specifically on someone who really doesn't want it. Now, when a situation may happen, and this is a very common thing, and you may even tonight you may be thinking, oh, my maybe one of your children or a sibling or a parent or someone else who's related to you or close to you in some other way. Um, you'd like to do something for them. And if they receive your love in the same way that you offer it, that is innocently and with caring like that and compassion, then it's okay. You just check in on the subtle level. Are you open to receiving this process of transformation? And if you get that sense, yes, they're open to it, then fine, you can proceed. If you get the sense that it's not okay, then you should not proceed with that. So with that guideline and consent, I've never figured out how to write that into a formal consent, that someone would sign. It's just a lot of that, I think, is that if they come to me for help, they are giving consent by their presence, whether that be in the room or even if we're working remotely. But this is a different kind of healing, and this is where we're offering something to somebody who probably, unless you told them, doesn't know that you're going to be offering that. And so this sense of consent has to be that if you love them and they love you, or there's a nice feeling between you, then it's okay to do that. But if you get that sense that it's not okay, then you shouldn't proceed like that. So let's put our attention now. We're going to get right on into this. And then I'm going to try to remember to explain a little bit more about how this actually works, how we help others, and why it's possible to do so. But I'll leave that because I'm really quite eager here to just see what we can do with collective consciousness and the expression of nature's intelligence in the world. So I'm going to invite everyone to sit comfortably and close your eyes. And it's often useful to take a couple of slow, deep breaths just to help getting settled. Now let's bring our attention into our bodies. Feel where our feet are placed, if they're on the floor, or if we're sitting cross-legged, then just feel how we're seated on the floor or on a cushion, in a chair, wherever we're seated. Make sure you're comfortable. Adjust your back or your neck if you need to. And now let your awareness start at the base of your spine and move up inside your body, just gradually raising your point of your awareness, the point of your focus, up through your body, past the navel on the inside, and up through the stomach and under the diaphragm, and then up above the diaphragm through the heart, slowly. Just feel what's there. And up into the neck. Does it feel open, or is there some tightness there? If there's some tightness, just let your awareness be with that for a few moments. Moving on up into the base of the skull, where the spine meets the skull. And then on up through the hole in the base of the skull, into the brain, into the very center of the head. And then on up through the head to the crown of the head, through the skull and out the top. And then extending out into the sky and on into the stratosphere and on out into space. Out through the galaxy and up beyond the galaxy, up above it and all around. And now just let your awareness expand outward to encompass our galaxy. And then our neighborhood of galaxies, our cluster. And then expanding out to neighboring clusters of galaxies. So many galaxies. So very, very, very many stars. And then out to the whole galactic universe. And now with this universal perspective, with this universal perspective, we offer the intention of peace, harmony, happiness, health, progress, and natural evolution to everyone and everything in the universe. And now we can tune in to the very field of natural law. the forces of nature operating throughout the universe. And let's just see if our attention is drawn to any particular place or particular quality. My own experience is that at this plane of existence, there is no suffering. So my attention doesn't go anywhere. So I'm going to bring my attention just a little bit to a more expressed value of nature's intelligence and see if there's some, at this level, if there's some place or some quality that draws my attention. What I'm picking up is a sense of creation, creating, things being created, things passing through their natural cycles of existence, and then disintegrating, and the energy of those systems falling back into the field. There's no sense of unnaturalness to that. So I find myself asking then, why does life seem so challenging, so difficult on Earth? And thinking that we seem to be on the brink, the very brink here, the very edge of a global transformation, what biologists call a die-off. And I'm a little surprised to find that even that feels natural, even if it's man caused by man's activity, human's activity. So that brings us to simply a choice in which direction we will go. Will we take steps to prevent that from happening, changing the way we use energy, how we derive it and how we use it. Or will we not? And again, strangely, that seems not to be a moral question, but merely one of choice, one of preference and perspective. It's simply a matter of thinking in the short term or thinking in the long term. So each of us gets to make a decision now and at every moment. Do we act for the short-term convenience or think in terms of the long term, what's going to happen to the planet and to all the people on the planet and all the animals on the planet and all the plants on the planet, all living things and things that are not living. We just get to make a choice. And choosing is the act of intention. And what I'm getting now is just organizing to further my intention for my choice. I'm going to go with the long-term perspective. And that's all we need to do. We have sat with that intention, whatever our intention is, whatever our choice is. That helps to bring our minds in harmony with our intention. And that will manifest then in our behavior and in the world. Well, that certainly didn't turn out the way I had anticipated it might. This work is always surprising. When we think about someone else, on the subtle level, on the level of the subtle energy of the universe, there is a resonance that is created between ourselves as an energy center and someone else. And when we view that person on the fine level of energy, fine subtle level of feeling, with care and compassion and desire for their well-being, that resonance and that intention is transmitted to them, and it changes the way they're vibrating, the way their energy is manifesting, and can produce very profound effects. Are there any questions about how we do this? Anybody want to ask a question? Because I'm getting the sense that I've just said enough. But if there's any, people out in cyberspace can use the chat function at the bottom of your screen. People on the phone, I'm not going to be able to send a message. Okay. So I'm just going to leave the explanation at that point, and we're just going to move on. And so each of us now can think of a person to whom we want to give a gift of well-being. Whatever's going on with that person, whether it's a physical problem, some disease or situation that they have in their body, or it's a mental thing that they're worried or thinking a lot, or they're just not clear, or it's an emotional thing that their emotions are in turmoil, that they're hurting, or they're feeling abandoned, lost. I'm picking up that somebody's feeling, I'm going to say vacuous, meaning they're not sure what they're feeling. They're just can't get clear about their sense of who they are and what they want and what other people mean to them. And I'm thinking of some young people who are in that process of discovering who they are, what they value in life, what they value in relationships. And feeling a challenge about that, about their meaning and purpose. Not all of them are young on that one. So we send, I don't want to use that word send, we tune in to where the person of concern or people of concern, we can work on more than one person, where the person of concern is in their life, what's going on with them. And with that tender regard and desire for their well-being, we just relax into that field of all possibilities, that field of nature's intelligence. And I'm just going to take a few minutes here in silence to go around and tune into each of those people that you're holding with such compassion. So I've surveyed a lot of different folks in different situations, different conditions. The approaches that I've learned recently for instant transformation are very useful. Useful in the sense that it doesn't take much time to apply what I need to use. So there's this principle of collective attention, which is very powerful. I'm just appreciating how the group has, by putting its attention in that way, from that level of compassion and caring, has sent out very powerful impulses of nature's intelligence. I'm just watching that now. Hmm. Oh, this is indeed good work. It's very blissful doing this. So I wonder if there are any questions in the group or any comments on what's been unfolding. People here in the house are having trouble getting their eyes open as usual. Those of you who are on computer in cyberspace, you can use the chat function at the bottom of your screen to make a comment, or let me know that you'd like to make a comment and I can unmute you. That is, I think I can unmute you. I've been challenged by technology today. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, I want to express appreciation for all of you for joining in, because I think we were able to accomplish some very beautiful things here as a group. The collective consciousness of the group producing very powerful effect. It's really great. I should also add that I had mentioned, I think a couple of months ago, that I had acquired some stones that have very, very powerful healing properties. and I discovered how to arrange them so that they could function collectively as well as individually. And then uh, circumstances produced a situation where um, I needed to put something in the center of my home, which is laid out very symmetrically. It's almost a cube, and the area in the middle, which is called a Brahmastan in Marshi Vedic architecture, needed something there. And I decided to take the round marble table, the marble top table that the stones were sitting on, and move it into the Brahmastan. People who were here tonight saw that as they came in, though they may not have thought about it very much. But the energy of this building is I don't know how much more powerful that it is now than it was before. But the physical dimension of it, I can measure the energy column in the middle of the building with my hands. By those of you on video can see this by going like this, and so the column, I can't show you this because of the it's just too big. But the column used to be about 4 or 5 feet across, which is large. And this house is kind of a, not particularly large house. So that's a really powerful column. And after removing the table that had been in the center, which was a metal table, and I believe that metal was not a good thing. I didn't know that at the time, but when I removed the table, the energy expanded about 6 inches the first few hours, and then the next day I noticed it was about a foot bigger in diameter than it had been. And when I moved the table with the stones on it in yesterday, there was an immediate effect. And now the energy column fills the entire center of the house. It's just huge. And it's like, if I put my attention on it, I can't walk through the center of my house. I have to, just sort of switch off and walk through in order to get from one place to another. Because the feeling of it is like there's this enormous power. So one of the things that was going on here tonight, I can tell, is that doing the webinar from this house with the support of this incredible power now that is being generated by its physical structure and enhanced by the presence of the stones in the very center, the very core of the building, is producing just a gigantic effect. So that's just one more little side note to what we were doing here tonight that I think is worth mentioning. So I haven't seen any comments pop up in the chat function. Anybody here able to raise their hand? Yes, we have one over here. I'll repeat what they say if it doesn't come across.
One person initially, and secondary, and the first one is going healing domestic abuse trauma. The second one, something like that from the past, and the third one has a physical affliction of the skin. And it's kind of so with someone more deeply an essence to it, and felt it like the light of the second. And it felt easy and fluid.
So
I didn't want to stop.
You didn't want to stop, right? It's fun to do this, isn't it? He was talking about how he started with one person and then a second and then a third. And each of them had their own particular situation that he was putting his attention on and feeling it transform as he was simply having his attention there. And yet that's how it works. And as all of us supporting that process, each of us for our own, but me sitting here taking in everybody. And I was quite aware that people were not working on just one person, which was interesting from my side. But it doesn't really make any difference because you just, your attention just moves, quick as a flash, from one thing to another to another. And you can just do that. You just put your attention on it and something transforms, you put your attention somewhere else. So it's very, very lovely process. And yeah, we can do a lot for our friends in this wonderful holiday season and throughout the year. Just by pausing like this and putting our attention on them on that very subtle level. And of course, the important thing is to settle in and just feel what's going on in them. And then seeing, there's something there that could that transform. You really don't have to do anything. I mean, I have techniques, but even if you don't have techniques, the intention is all it takes. Just could that transform? Oh, yes, there it goes. And you move on to somebody else or the rest of your life. Yeah, I worked on a whole lot of people who are not on the webinar tonight, as well as the ones related to the people who are on the webinar. Anybody else? Yeah, the fellow in the back room says it's gone. Poof, whatever it was, it's gone now. He took care of it. Oh, you were gone. Oh, okay. I'm sure that wherever your attention went is gone too. Yeah. Anyone else? Hmm? Right, that level of no time and no space, and from that level, anything can be transformed. Very nice. Right, right. So I did some work with you too, because I was reading that, the thing you gave me, and just taking care of business. Very nice. So this has been really delightful, and we look forward to next month. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see what we're doing next month. Pardon me here. There we go. So the next webinar will be on January 15th. That's a Tuesday, as always. And I'll be talking about and then working with what holds us back. So it's a theme not unlike what we were doing tonight, but being very more specific to the individual needs that people have, working on what holds us back. Because many times we have an idea that we'd like to do something or go in a particular direction, or even literally take a trip. And then we don't manifest that. We just don't get around to doing it. And sometimes that's for, you might say, very good reasons. And sometimes it's because there is something there that is holding us back. And so next time we'll get in touch with what those kinds of things are, and work with transforming them so that we can move forward and fulfill our desires. Those of you who are on the webinar, get your usual bonus. I'll describe that after I stop the recording. I want to remind people that I'm going to do a workshop on relationships again. It'll be Saturday, January 26th. I'll send out announcements early in January. People are too busy now to be thinking about that, but that will be coming up, and that's based on how we resonate. I've learned a lot about the actual process, the way in which we resonate with other people on the mental level, on the emotional level, and on the physical level. And so we'll be talking about that and going through, there'll be exercises with each segment of that. It's divided into 3 segments. And there'll be exercises to help us tune in to ourselves and tune into others, and then tune into what's going on between us, and to transform what's going on between us so that we have a happier and more fulfilling relationship with those people. And so I guess that's it for this evening. Thank you all for joining, and we look forward to seeing you on January 15th. Invitations will be sent out